All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the incredible turnout tonight. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you again for coming. We are going to start tonight with a few comments from our board, specifically from myself and Trustee Mark Parrish. As Mark Twain once said, history does not repeat itself, but it rhymes. And our goal tonight is to really look at our laws that we've had in the past and to fix them, because in the reality, there is no surfing ban in Southampton. Myself, along with many other members of this board, in fact, all of us, encourage surfing. We love surfing. We love getting in the water. And we think it's an incredible opportunity for everybody of all generations to be able to enjoy the outdoors, even regardless of the time of year. For young people, it's a great opportunity to participate in sports and hobbies and not engage in things like video games and other things of that sort. So tonight, we have a few goals. The first goal is to pass a resolution that will allow everybody to surf on our beaches as they choose, and we want to get that on our books as soon as possible. The second thing we will do is move to expedite the repeal of what I consider to be an archaic law that still happens to be in our books, likely even older than myself, and move forward to repeal that. On top of that, it also provides a good discussion for our board to look at our entire code and to look at some of the old and out-of-date laws that it's time to get off our books, surfing or not. And then thirdly, this is a great opportunity tonight to form a village committee, a surfing committee, comprising of various members of different groups that represent different groups, all community members, and to get everybody together so that we can have one representative of each of those groups to put together a policy for us for next summer so that we can sort out our surf camp and our surf schools. There's another thing that I also wanted to announce is that when we did bring back surf camp last month, we received an anonymous phone call from an individual who actually wanted to sponsor a surf scholarship program. So that is for everybody. If you cannot afford to pay $100 for a surf lesson or whatever the price might be, you can come to the village and you can apply for this scholarship program, and we'll make sure that everybody has the opportunity to learn how to surf. And I would also include everybody here tonight to tell friends and also themselves to even donate to this program so that we can get everybody into the water. So with that said, I'd like to turn it over to Trustee Mark Parrish. He has a few comments as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Warren, and thank you everybody for showing up tonight. My voice is a little scratchy. I've done a lot of talking over the last 72 hours. So I just want to clarify a couple things. The village has not banned surfing. If you want to know a little history, which I'm sure a lot of people have gotten through social media, back in the 70s, there was a local law that was adopted by the village that prohibited surfing between Halsey Neck Lane and Old Town. Those seemed to be the popular bathing beaches, and at that particular point, the village felt that was the best way to do it. As we know, we speed forward to where, at this day and age, surfing has become a huge popular mainstream sport. It also becomes a very good culture, and it is accessible to everybody now, and it's great. Provides water awareness. We live on the ocean. We're surrounded by water. It's a great opportunity to get people in the water and getting them familiar and comfortable. But with that comes a lot of other things. So what we have been doing, as well as administrations before us, is trying to come up with a plan to make this really something that can be spectacular and engage everybody to get into surfing and water awareness. So being a new trustee, as we just found out, that there are laws that we need to look at and adapt to today's environment. And like our mayor said, we are going to do that. Our goal are a positive beach community that gives everyone a chance to enjoy our greatest natural resource. So we're going to move forward tonight, and we're going to really, really, really take steps to make this continue on for the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Paris. There's also two other things I wanted to add. The first thing I wanted to add is an extremely important. This goes out from our entire Board of Trustees. First, we wanted to thank our police and our Chief of Police. There was some, yes, thank you. There was some discussion about the enforcement of this law. Nobody did anything wrong. In fact, our police force actually did an excellent job when there was this event that happened, having dialogue with our community. So I just wanted to thank our police. They're here to help us, and they did a great job, and they've continued to do a great job in the past, today, and in the future. So I just wanted to recognize from our entire board our police force here in the village. And then the second thing, as we will move into public comment, we're going to move to do the resolutions first, but I want to make sure that the public comment as it relates to surfing is, one, more focused on the commercialization and a discussion around that of our beaches. And then secondly, I would like to encourage everybody just to keep it positive. I would refrain from making negative comments. You're welcome to do it, but we would encourage you not to. So that's what I'd like to do for our public comment. But prior to that, we're going to move forward with the much anticipated suggested resolutions.
Let me say one thing.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to add, I was thinking about this today. The police were doing their job. They were called down to the beach to look at a code violation. The great thing that comes out of this is because of what they did, made us all aware that there was a law that needs to be adapted. So that is a good thing that came out of that. So they were doing their job, and they are bringing us now an opportunity to change that law and do something fantastic for this village. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Paris. Is there any other board members that'd like to make a quick comment, or should we move to the suggested resolutions?
Let's move on.
Okay. So Russell, I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. Whereas Subchapter 1N of the Park and Beach Regulations prohibits the use of surfboards in the water adjacent to that portion of the area lying between the westerly line of Halsey Neck Lane extended southward to the ocean and the easterly line of Old Town Road extended southward to the ocean, and also for a distance of 200 feet to the east and west of Fowler Lane extended southward to the ocean between the 15th day of June and the 15th day of September in each year from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. prevailing time, and whereas pursuant to Chapter 81N2, the Board of Trustees may designate specific areas within the aforesaid prohibited areas wherein surfboarding may take place, provided said areas of the beach so designated remain clean and orderly. And whereas the Board of Trustees finds that surfboarding within the aforesaid prohibited areas, except within the boundaries of the municipal bathing facility at Cooper's Neck Beach, will not conflict with the use of the beaches for bathing and swimming by the general public, and that there are rules and regulations in place to assure the beaches remain clean and orderly, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to 81N2 of the Park and Beach Regulations, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton hereby designates the following additional areas in which surfboards may be used in the water adjacent to the ocean beach. 1. That portion of area lying between the westerly line of Halsey Neck Lane extended southward to the ocean line marking the westerly boundary of the municipal bathing facility at Cooper's Neck Beach, which may be adjusted by village lifeguards to assure the safety of bathers and swimmers. 2. That portion of area lying between the line marking the easterly boundary of the municipal bathing facility at Cooper's Neck Beach, which may be adjusted by village lifeguards to assure the safety of bathers and swimmers, to the easterly line of Old Town Road, extended southward to the ocean. And 3, that portion of the area lying between a distance of 200 feet to the east and west of Fowler Lane. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Mayor Warren, second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Parish. All in favor?
Aye.
Second resolution. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held at 6 p.m. prevailing time on Tuesday, September 24th, 2019, on a local law repealing Chapter 81N of the Park and Beach Regulations relating to surfboard.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second, Polaro. All in favor?
Aye.
And third, whereas the village board has the authority to create various advisory committees by resolution of a majority vote of the village board as it deems appropriate and adopt parameters around those committees, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby creates the following committees that shall be advisory to the Board of Trustees pursuant to the attached parameters. The Lake Agawam Water Quality Committee, the Infrastructure Committee, Budget and Finance Committee, Sports and Recreation Committee, and the Surf Instruction Committee.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, with that said, we will move towards public comment. Evelyn, Conrad. This is probably not going to be about surfing, but we'll get back into it. I can promise you this will not be about surfing.
Might be.
Good evening, Mayor Warren, members of the Board of Trustees. This evening, I bring you good news, both for our village residents, shoppers, visitors to our village, and for the historic character, quality of life, and future of Southampton Village. First and foremost, the owner's closing of the brick courtyard at 38 to 42 Jobs Lane is totally illegal. I will give you the citations in a moment. The village government, namely you, the trustees, have not only the authority, the responsibility to insist immediately to have the owner restore at his expense the brick and the central fountain, and to open up that public space. My authority for stating this is our own Village Code, Chapter 65, Historic and Landmark Preservation, as published or printed most recently on August 12, 2019. I'm reading these statements into the record to avoid having him call time on me in the middle of a legal point. The law that I will be reciting is entirely contained in our own Village Code, Southampton Village Code, Chapter 65, which should make Wayne very happy since he believes in the local law. Chapter 65, Section 4, Certificate of Appropriateness required, quote, no person shall carry out any exterior alteration, restoration, construction, reconstruction, demolition, or moving of a structure, land, trees, or plantings upon a property within a historic district, nor shall any person make any material change in the appearance of such property to the extent that it is visible from a public street, end quote. The owners of 3842 Jobs Lane have made no such application as outlined in Chapter 65, Sections 4 and 6, nor have they made, nor could they make a colorable hardship claim, which means believable. That's what lawyers say, colorable, as outlined in Chapter 65, Sections 7 and 8, not after having illegally closed that open space for nearly a year, after more than 3 decades of that brick courtyard being used as public space, and not after having refused to renew the leases of several stores surrounding the brick courtyard, which iconic courtyard is, quote, a contributing structure to Jobs Lane designation in the National Register as a historic street. Next, Chapter 65, Section 9, Enforcement. Quote, it shall be the duty of the village building inspector to inspect periodically any work to assure compliance. In the event that he finds work that is not being performed in accordance with the certificate of appropriateness, which they do not have, and upon notification of such fact by the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, who know Zoom, and such fact by the Board of, and personal verification means the building inspector would have to go and look. The building inspector shall immediately issue a stop work order to remain in effect until compliance. I've been telling you what the compliance is, restoration, all right? Next. Chapter
You're right at 3
65.
minutes, so.
Thank you.
Very short piece. Section 10, maintenance and repair required. Quote, no person, no owner or person with an interest in real property included within a historic district may permit the property to fall into a state of disrepair. If you will like, I will stop. The offenses
Thank you.
include
Thank you.
prison, etc.
We're going to try to keep to 3 minutes tonight. We have a large
I
crowd.
appreciate that. Let me give you copies, all right?
Thank you so much, Evelyn.
Thank you, Evelyn. And so just for everyone that is going to come forward, we have a 3 time limit on public comment. This is actually a good point that Evelyn made, just so everyone that is here is aware of this, because we don't always get meeting turnouts like this. We all know that on Jobs Lane there's a courtyard, and that courtyard was actually intentionally destroyed by the landlord. And I know so because he told me this. And so for those who are as passionate about surfing, I would actually challenge you to be equally as passionate about what also happened to us in this village. And so I just want to put everyone on notice as well that this did happen to our village. I'm not happy about it, and I hope that everyone is equally not happy about it. And so I'd like everyone to also go home with knowledge that this did happen to us. And unfortunately, this landlord is actually buying more properties in the village. And turns out, actually, as we're on the surfing theme, this is also the same landlord that bought Trip Patterson's art gallery as well, and we all know that Trip Patterson is no longer part of our village. So I think that for those who were outraged, rightfully or wrongfully, about this weekend, you should be more outraged about what Evelyn had actually brought up. So I just want to bring that up to everybody. And so next up for public comment is Orson Cummings from Walnut Street.
Yeah, 57 Walnut. Is this on?
Yeah, just say your name again.
Okay, Orson Cummings.
You don't have to. You can stand right here.
I'll deploy brevity here. I know we have a lot of people might have some words, but because I want to, one other thing, and I promised to relate to surfing somehow, magically. But first I wanted to thank the trustees for the quiet summer we had, thanks to the gas-powered leaf blower ban. This was amazing. I can't tell you, I mean, we went through this whole process and all the lively conversations between different parties, which I think is coming our way again with the surf committees. But it was great. I can't tell you how many people came up to me and told me how nice it was to have peace and quiet. I saw workers using the electrics that I used to fight with, who we smiled at each other, thumbs up. They're not getting sick. I'm living, doing my life, doing my writing. It's all great. So thank you. I also, just with respect to that whole process, I want to ask if we could consider, now would be the time, a year-round ban, because the idea of reintroducing them in the fall and having a team of 10 people blow 3 leaves back and forth all day long, all it's surrounding you, is a nightmare. So I think we've gotten this ground. A lot of people have applauded Southampton for being a leader and a green community by making this move. I think with everything we're doing, with the Agawam cleanup, everything, it's a perfect fit. So I'd like to ask for that to be considered. And then secondly, with respect only to the Surf Committee, which having gone through that process, I would only ask that we just take some care and make sure that we get a broad spectrum and how we put that committee together, because it was healthy that you get all the voices. Mine was a lot different than the landscaper voice, but when we all aired all our thoughts out, by the end, everybody agreed to what we did. So I think it's important that whatever we do, we don't come out feeling like people got shortchanged, or how we pick who's on that is important, because I know that the surf school is fantastic, and a lot of my friends of mine are instructors. I also know that there are incidents in the water where a lot of tension came up, and what we want is to enjoy the water and not leave it stressed. So everyone wants the same thing, I think, in that regard. So I'll look forward to doing anything we can, and year-round leaf blower ban. Thank you.
Thank you, Orson.
Thank you, Orson. Next, Jay Fitzpatrick. Jay, good to see you at the race this weekend.
Yeah, I came in first in my age group. I'm here to talk about the clubs, as you probably remember. According to the New York, Jay Fitzpatrick, 243 Elm Street.
Thank you so much.
According to the New York State Liquor Authority, you have to have a cabaret license to have live music at night. None of the 3 clubs, Blue Mar, the 230 Elm, or the Social Center Social Club, have a cabaret license according to the New York State Liquor Authority. I have it right here. I have 6 copies, including showing all the licenses that they have, and nobody has a cabaret license. This is right off of the New York. There's 6 copies here. And probably more important, our own village code says that no nightclub is able to operate within 1,000 feet of a church or a school. And this is under zoning 116-23-15. You're not allowed to have a nightclub anywhere near 1,000 feet of a school or a church or park, or 500 feet to a residential district. That's our village code. It's right here. I made 6 copies. It's right off of your village code. So according to the New York Liquor Authority and according to our own village code, all these clubs need to stop having music from 11 o'clock till 4 o'clock in the morning, because it's against the New York State code and it's against our own village code. What say you?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next public comment is Lori Anderson. Lori, thank you.
Well, you're pro surfing, and I wore my...
You have to say your name and address.
Lori Anderson, 39 Red Cedar Point Road in Hampton Bays.
Okay.
So I hope that's okay. I know you're pro surfing, so I just had a few questions after. Everything sounds great for me because I also am for the surfers.
Please understand that this isn't a dialogue, so
Okay.
that you may not get answers.
So
It's
no
a-
questions now?
It's a presentation. You
Okay,
can pose them
then I'll
all.
let it go. I'm happy so far, and I guess we'll find out more at the hearing. Correct.
Would you have a comment about it, though? I mean,
A comment about it? Well, you said that you're not going to, right now, there's not a ban on surfing. That was the rumor or the buzz. So that's all I was mostly concerned about, because if you ban surfing in a certain area, the sandbars move year to year, as you know. So you could ban it here, and then there's no sandbar there. It's no sandbar over here, so it's all of a sudden it's in the area that is banned. So I just wanted it to be kind of fluid, as all surfers like to be, I think. And I just think growing up out here, surfing was a big deal for my fellow, the other kids in my class, and that's what we did, and that's where, kept the kids busy, kept them, made them appreciate the environment and water. I mean, all the things that you know. And my kids now surf here, and I just hope that the restrictions are not rigid, because it can't be because of the sandbars. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lori. Next, public comment is Peter Magyar. Good to see you back, Peter.
Hi, my name is Peter Magyar, and I live at 116 Boylston Road. I just wanted to let everybody know here that I surf at least once a week, and that I learned to surf from the people from Flying Point Surf School, some of which are here tonight, and that I think there should be a ban on at least one beach, but I think it should be able to move so that, like Lori said, the sandbar is very undependable on where it goes. I also wanted to say thank you for the resolutions that you guys put in. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. We're very happy that we passed this resolution. If we had the power, we'd pass a resolution to keep the sandbar where you wanted it to be, but unfortunately we can't do that. So next is Megan Magyar.
Hi, my name's Megan Magyar. I live at 116 Boylston Road. I just wanted to say also thank you for the resolution, and thank you for being fluid and thinking about all of this and how to incorporate all thoughts in the community. I think surfing's amazing for everybody to get in the water. And I also just wanted to say thank you to the whole group for all the work you're doing on cleaning up the water out here and being so thoughtful and thorough and on it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Megan. Next we have Stephen Mahoney.
I'm Stephen Mahoney, 160 Long Lane, East Hampton. I'm the chair of the Eastern Long Island chapter of the Surfrider Foundation. I want to thank the board for their enthusiastic support of surfing and your resolutions and your very expedient and proactive effort on this part. I have a brief statement to read. We at Surfrider consider access a universal right and necessary for the public enjoyment of the beach. Surfrider Foundation promotes the rights of the public, including all recreational user groups and member of the community, to enjoy low-impact beach access, including the enjoyment of coastal aesthetics. Our chapter would take issue with any law or resolution that would limit access in favor of one particular group, especially if that group is in any way blocking anyone from free use and enjoyment of the ocean, waves, and beaches. And I really appreciate your effort and everything you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Next public comment is Dr. Conrad Miller.
Hi, my name is Conrad Miller, Dr. Miller, and
Your address, please.
my address is right now is 451 Route 114 in East Hampton. So I've been surfing here since 1964, and I was involved with setting up the surf beaches all the years that we started setting up surfing beaches. I did it with Jake Buckeye. I don't know if you probably know him, right?
I don't.
No?
know
Okay,
who
well,
he is.
Jake, you know?
I know Jake.
Okay, so Jake used to be on the board, and there was a law that was passed, I'm not sure what year they passed that law about surfing, but we just kind of circumvented it. And then we would set up a surf beach every year, and Jake would basically, we'd go to the beach in May sometime, and maybe there'd be a sandbar. And if there was a sandbar, then we'd sort of pick that beach, and then Jake would print up a couple of signs, and then he'd put one on one end of the beach and one on the other. And if things changed during the summer and another sandbar formed, we'd move the signs. So now we have a different circumstance because we have surf schools. And that was part of the incident that happened, I believe. I'm not sure if Franny will probably talk about that. But the thing about the surf schools, it's great to have surf schools, but surf schools clog the water up. So the people who surf, really there's a credo that should be followed by the surf schools, according to some of the people I speak to. And they don't want the surf instruction to take place and take the good peaks away from where the learners go in the water. Also, it's more dangerous. So some of the surf school problem has been a little bit of acting with impunity about the way that they go about their themselves in the water with their students. So that's a problem. And then also, everybody should know, as far as I know, the water up to the high tide mark, from the ocean into the high tide mark, that's really federal water. So you can't really legally outlaw surfing in the ocean. But we've always respected everybody's, in other words, the beach club has their ropes, and Cooper's, now Cooper's had a break last year, so I think there was surfing going on there last year. But I'm not sure if it was going on during the middle of the day. And I also spoke to the police today, a fellow named Chris. I'm not sure if he's here. There he is. Okay, so he told me that, his whole family surfs, and Chris surfs. And the police are very happy to have everybody surf. And they don't want to get involved with having to intervene in situations where, in other words, they want everybody to surf, just like you. So they want to help, and they don't want to have to act in situations where there's a conflict. And perhaps that conflict should have been resolved between the surfers and not have brought it up to the police. That's the way it's been in the past. Anyway, so I'm still willing to help if you want to do anything, and you have your committee pretty much set up already, trying to have people from different views about the ocean and about swimming and about surfing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. I would also recommend, we do have our committee forum, but Holly is right here, and you could speak to her too, because maybe she can figure out a way to include you as well, because obviously you have a good base of knowledge. So next for public comment, we have Franny. That's you.
Good evening. Francis Adam Chesky, 40 West Prospect Street, Southampton Village. As a village resident, village taxpayer, I'm all about kids surfing and enjoying their waves, but commercial use has gotten overflowed too much, and we need to regulate that somehow as we got the committee going, so maybe we can somehow figure out who and what and how many and what time, because it seems like right now what happened at the Bathing Corporation was going on pretty much all day long with private lessons or surf schools. I don't know if there were surf schools or private lessons and surf school. and other surfers were getting pushed in on, hit. We need to control safety. That's my big issue. I'm all about the little kids. Kathy can tell you, last Saturday, I think it was, all the little groms came paddling up to me, and that was the end of my session because I gave all the kids the waves. So I'm all about safety. I'm all about surfing, but we need to regulate the commercial use of our beaches. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Next public comment, we have Amy Plum.
Amy Plum, 131 Bailey Road here in the Village. I'm so happy to hear that you're making all these changes. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Thank you to Shane, who taught my kids to surf, because I didn't have the patience to do it with them. And then my children, Patrick, Payne, and Honey, are creating a bumper sticker to support Village Surfing, and they want to donate all the proceeds to the scholarship fund. Okay?
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next public comment is April Gonzalez.
I don't think enough of you people spoke up. I was the last one on the list. Thank you so much for your quick work, for listening to everybody. I am pro surf school for a lot of reasons. It teaches. April Gonzalez, 71 Millstone Brook Road. It teaches kids not to be afraid of the water. We don't want to have drownings out here. It teaches them how to use the RIP. It engages them in the ocean. We can only hope that that engagement carries forward into their lives. They become conservationists, environmentalists. They become committed to the oceans. I would really like to see Lake Agawam, which is behind you, cleaned up. I would like to see that as a #1 priority, and I realize it's very difficult to move as quickly on that as you have on this law. I also love the idea that you put out of stay positive, contribute to the conversation. There are thousands of communities all over the United States, Florida, New Jersey, North Carolina, California, Hawaii, who have surf schools, who have surf lessons. It's an integrated part of the community. It's why people come. I think we want to be welcoming. I think we want to educate people. I do think that everybody in this room has an idea that's good. And if they could just email you or you or you or you what that good idea is, we can take them all and get a set of rules. Montauk has a very dedicated surf spot. It's extremely popular. It's known all over the world. I found books about it in California. And they have a list of rules on the side of the beach when you enter. We could have the same sign. My only issue with people in the water, really, is I want everybody to have a leash on their board. I was taught that I have to control that board, and I just was sidelined because I got hit by my own board, and it hurt. It really hurt. It hurt so much I ended up at the doctor's office with a brace on my arm. I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody else. So safety first, and while we're at safety first in surfing, let's go to ocean safety, because maybe these kids will become part of OSearch, maybe they'll become part of Ocean Rescue, maybe they'll become lifeguards. Thank you so much for your quick action, for listening, Russell, when we call on the phone. We appreciate your efforts. And I hope everybody commits to being part of the process of moving forward, as you suggested. Thank you.
Thank you, April. So this is all for our list of public comment, but if anyone else has additional public comment, feel free to come up. Okay, we'll start front to back, so please feel free to come up, and then Orson, we've got you next.
Hi, my name is Kathy Thomas. I live at 2150 Meadow Lane. I can speak from a unique perspective of having had family members or myself surf with the 3 major surf schools here. My experience has been incredibly positive, and while I know there are some negative things that do happen, I will say one anecdote is the other day, a student did drop in on me, and I turned around and he was doing burpees on the beach, and I turned to the guy he was surfing with. I said, "What happened?" He said, "He dropped in on you." I told him that if he couldn't cross the street alone, if I was going to have to hold his hand, he had to go do the burpees, and from now on, no more waves. He had to tell him when he could take a wave. And this was a kid who was a good surfer. So there are guys out there who are teaching the rules. My kids all know when someone drops in on them, when they're dropping in on someone, and if there's no one to teach you the rules, that's part of the problem. And part of the problem at the Bathing Corp this year has been a perfect storm. We had the break there. You don't have to have a parking permit. There are other parking permits. There's a beach club. There are a lot of people that wanted to swim there with the plovers. There are a lot of people that had access to the beach that otherwise didn't. And you have groups of people coming in, and some of those people who are not in surf schools, and there are hordes of them, like 5 or 6 guys, not local, or maybe local, maybe we've never seen them before out there, but they're dropping in, and they're cutting you off, and they're doing all sorts of things. So I think whoever said signs around about etiquette, about surf etiquette, and if somebody breaks the etiquette, you can point to the sign and say, hey, maybe you want to check that out, because that's not how we do things here. Instead, when someone tries to call somebody out, they call the police and say they were harassed in the water, and that's another 911 call that could be better served elsewhere. So I support the surf schools, I support safety, and thank you guys for supporting surfing, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Orson?
Hey, Orson Cummings. Yeah, just a last quick thought on the selection of the committee, because I know you said you have it settled, but I do think after listening to Doc Miller in particular, I think
we don't have it settled.
We don't? Okay, because I thought this obviously presented a great candidate. His voice obviously would be great to hear, and that if we took our time, I think it's important how we settle that. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Orson. The only thing that we have settled is that we'd like to have a certain number of candidates, so it has to be a certain size. We're thinking about 9 members. So that's really what we thought would be the ideal size, but we're very flexible as to kind of who would be on it, and so we want to figure out the right people and build consensus around that.
One of the other things I think is going to be important for this committee is that they put out and we communicate the types of things that that committee is working on, so that the public who may not be in the committee can give suggestions and comments as the rules are developing. Instead of having a committee that meets and you don't know what's going on and all of a sudden they come out with a set of rules, that yes, there's going to be a limit to the number of people on the committee. However, as the committee progresses, there'll be reports that people can comment on to help, kind of mold and have, much more input than just 9 people, even if it's a, wide range of people.
Can I say one thing too, Russ, along that line? If anybody here or on television is interested, submit your names to Russ, because that's how we will be choosing the committee members.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question, Jesse? Sorry.
Just you come up to the microphone and then
Come with me.
and then we have you next.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You have
one
to say your
question
name
is,
and address.
Amy Plum, 131 Bailey Road.
Thank you.
How do we submit our names and who we would recommend or volunteered for this very useful organization?
But you can go either to the mayor's office or to my office. We will coordinate.
Sorry, I don't know your name.
My name is Russell Cradaville.
Okay,
I'm just
thank you.
village administrator.
Okay,
and
great.
Village admin at southamptonvillage.org.
Another thing
Yep.
that I was that sort of escaped me earlier was the use of 911 in the village. That maybe some sort of law passed that the use of 911 is used for life-threatening emergencies, not for surf emergencies.
That law does exist. You're not supposed to use it for it.
Say that again?
It does exist. You're not supposed to use 911 only for
Well,
like.
I would say that maybe the
People do
village
follow
should
stuff.
pass a law that is to be used for life-threatening emergencies, not for surf emergencies.
I would only caution that if we start to tell the public when they should call 911,
Well,
if they don't,
all right.
it's a liability.
But you know what I'm
yes, we
saying? Or
should get
maybe
the
it
word
should
out,
be-
yeah.
But we understand your point, yes.
We understand your
Yeah,
point.
it's
Don't
not.
abuse,
It
yes.
is to be used for the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons, where it could have really affected somebody's life over the weekend that actually needed our police force.
And to your point, Officer Wetter, I just want to make sure, and Chief Cummings, our non-emergency number is 283-0056. That's the number people should be calling.
And that would be
You're right.
great to maybe put that out there so that people know who to call when they need assistance from the police, but it's not an emergency.
And it's on our website, by the way.
And it's on the police
And
website
on the
as well.
police website.
Thank you, Amy.
Doing 130 Duryea Street, Riverhead, Steve Brown. I just want to say thank you for acting on this. You guys all kind of stepped right up and we're protecting surfing. And this old law, you guys saw it, you made the amendment, you're going to change it, it's all good. That covers all of our surfers, which is really important. As far as surf school, things like this, things that happen in the water, are best worked out with surfers. So your idea of the committee, bringing in people from both sides that I respect dearly, everyone, coming together, spending the winter talking this out and working it out correctly so that I can work with Peter and have a great day. All right? I think it's awesome. So good job. Well done. I'm happy.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment? Okay. So we can move to our board presentations, and then which we don't have any, and then we have a public hearings. So Russell, I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, we have a couple people.
Yes, we'll take a quick.
Yeah, we'll take.
All right, thank you everyone for staying for the remainder of the meeting. Russell, I think you can.
I'll
take it from here.
entertain a motion to open a public hearing that was noticed at 6 p.m. prevailing time on Tuesday, August 20th, 2019, to review a local law amending Chapter 11043, Schedule L, stopping, standing, and parking restrictions of the Vehicles and Traffic Code to modify the time restrictions on Jagger Lane.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor, if you want a little background.
Please.
So, Jagger Lane.
Can you speak louder, please? We can't hear.
Sure. Jagger Lane, where Stop and Shop and other businesses are located. Currently, the code has two different parking requirements. One that's limiting parking for 1 hour from May 1st through September 30th. And that is 9 to 6, except for on Sundays. And the other parking requirement is limiting parking to 2 hours between October 1st and April 30th. The problem has been the village hasn't been posting the signs and switching them every season as it takes place. And as such, there actually isn't any signage, so thus there's no enforcement. So the businesses asked that the village address this matter, in particular the question of whether 1 hour or 2 hour parking should apply. And in this case, the board decided, and the proposed local law would eliminate the 1 hour parking restriction and make it 2 hours for the entire year.
Is there anything else, or is that the basis?
I will just like to add that this was initiated by a letter from the owner of Southampton Soap. She came in and spoke and felt as though, and also Bob Grisnick from South Thrifty Jug, they both felt that the 2 hour limit would be consistent with the rest of the downtown area, which would, include kind of Main Street and so forth. So 2 hours is consistent with the rest of the village.
And provide sufficient time for people to go and thoroughly shop if they needed to at Stop and Shop.
So how would we like to proceed?
Is there any, you ask if there's any comment.
Is there any comment on this topic? Okay. If no comment, should we move?
The board can act to
Close the hearing
Close
and
the
then
hearing
adopt the local law.
Okay. So I'm fine with that if everyone else is. So we'll propose to close the public hearing and adopt a local law.
Look, it would be local law number 10 of 2019, which would amend Chapter 11043, Schedule L, stopping, standing, and parking restrictions in accordance with the provisions of 11021. The stopping, standing, or parking of vehicles is restricted as follows for Jagger Lane.
So that's two resolutions, one to close the public hearing, and the second one to adopt the local law.
Motion on the close?
So moved.
Trustee Allen?
Second. Or
Second, Mayor Warren. All in favor?
Aye.
And the resolution to adopt local law number 10, which amends Chapter 11043, Schedule L, as it pertains to Jagger Lane.
So moved.
So moved, Yastrzemski. Second, Polaro. Trustee Yastrzemski.
Aye.
Trustee Allen.
Aye.
Mayor Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Parrish.
Aye.
Trustee Polaro.
Aye.
Local law is adopted.
Okay. Next tonight on the agenda is communications to the board. The first is the Hope for Depression thank you letter.
Received a letter from Hope for Depression. They had their second annual Week of Hope. They thanked more than 160 businesses, turned the town yellow to symbolize hope and their commitment to changing the staggering statistics around depression. They saw on August 4th more than 750 men, women, and children come together for the Race of Hope. The event raised over $280,000 for depression research, and 100% of all the gifts go directly to this research. And it was signed by Louisa Benton, Executive Director. Okay. Next, we have a letter from the Town of Southampton Community Preservation Fund regarding a property located at 29 North Sea Road, Southampton. Dear Mayor Warren, the above-mentioned property was discussed at the Community Preservation Fund Advisory Board on Wednesday, March 20th. The board decided at that time that there is sufficient interest in this property to forward it to the town board to pursue acquisition only if the Village of Southampton is interested in it and would like us to pursue this property with the town board. They ask for your comments as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Russell.
Can I just say one thing, add one to that? I know in the past as a board, I think you were around as well, that we had discussions about trying to get that for housing. Not a lot of it, but like Bailey Road, a couple houses, or 2 houses in that lot. Has that been thrown around in town hall housing or anything, or is anybody aware of that, or you, or anybody with this property?
Not.
Because I know because CPF wasn't interested at the time,
right. So
it kind of sat idle, and I know Bonnie Cannon at the time was interested in trying to get something on here.
So this is the one next to Tate's.
Correct.
Okay.
So this, I mean, it's great to preserve it, but this was, we were trying to get it in play for something else along the housing thing, right in the village.
Yes.
I don't know if that's still a possibility or if there's any interest from anybody. I don't know.
I didn't receive any correspondence. We certainly could, include that in our, response.
Can I have a point of clarification? Could someone describe what...
Could you come up to the podium, please? I know, it's annoying, but those are the rules.
No, it's not that. It's just Sheila Pfeiffer, 56 Hildreth Street. There's no access in this room to any internet, so it's impossible for me to look up what 29 North Sea Road is. I realize it must be very near Tate's or in that general area.
It's the one adjacent to the, there's the cemetery, then there's a house, and it's between Tate's and that house if you're on Windmill Lane. There's a little house facing on the Windmill Lane.
It'll be on the screen in a second.
Oh, right.
I'm not from, I forget the acreage
Nick,
of
you
it.
can come up next and...
Just some clarification.
Nick Feldman, 17 Toilsome Lane in Southampton. Could the board explain to the village residents that are here the significance of this property, what it means to the village, why it is being sought to be bought by CPF funds? And could somebody tell us what kind of money is going to come out of the CPF fund for this one piece of property? I can think of 1,000 other uses, unless there is some significance here, for CPF funding in the village of Southampton, other than buying a piece of property that nobody knows what they're going to do with.
So I just want to make this comment. We put together with the Planning Commission and several others, including Joe McLaughlin and our board, a list of priority properties 2 years ago. And those priority properties stem from information that we gleaned from our comprehensive master plan meetings with John Halsey at the Peconic Land Trust. The priority for those properties were Pond Lane properties and other large-scale properties, because the CPF board doesn't look at properties under 1 acre very favorably. My understanding and recollection, and I think we need to table this and go back, is that, to Trustee Ostrowski's point, we wanted to take this off the table because it did not meet the open space criteria that we had pulled together from all of our different documentation and discussions with people. So I think we need to go back and see if this came out before our final discussion, because I think there were other priority properties. As a matter of fact, I know there were. So.
Yeah, this was on there, but it wasn't our priority. Yeah. That's for sure. And it was only on there because it's vacant for a long time.
So subsequent to that strategy that was put together, we were able to preserve the 3 acres on Pond Lane, which had been in our sites for over 30 years, in fact. So anyway, I just
please.
wanna-
Thank you for clarifying.
But I don't think we should be addressing this until we go back and
No,
revisit
I think
that
it just,
priority
that's why they're
list.
asking what we think about it,
Yeah.
right?
I think that'd be a
Nick
great idea.
Feldman again. My concern here is CPF funding and the amount of money that flows into it and flows out of it. And this piece of property, unless it is significantly valuable to the village, when I see things like the town of Southampton approving $10,750,000 for a piece of property in Sag Harbor, I didn't know if the real estate agent saw him coming or whatever. Some of these numbers that are coming out of that fund, where we have such issues within the village, within the town, clean water, sewerage, other items. The laws were changed. Fred Field changed that law to help clean up our waterways. That money and the amount of money that flows from this village into that fund is not coming back to this village. And when you see those kind of numbers go out the door for under an acre or about an acre of property, and I understand the significance there to Sag Harbor, but I think you got to step back and look and see where that money is going and where it's being spent. You know, the town of Southampton decided to go into the real estate business in Hampton Bays. I don't know if it just wore off on the town of Southampton because everybody out here is in real estate, but that property, if a developer wanted to buy that Hampton Bays property and make it a condo, he would have had to gone through a process. That's on him, okay? That's not on the residents in the town of Southampton to foot that bill, to tear down that building just because the town didn't like the property, you know, or they thought it was being used for short-term rentals because of nobody can find a place to live out here, the working people. And I just think you got to sit back, and I encourage the board to please make this a priority and let Southampton Town know that, you know, the gloves are off. You got to stop just flushing this money out the door for things that really, you know, we don't need the property in Hampton Bays. Let a developer buy it. This property that you're talking about here, if there's a possibility for a developer to buy it, and if it's significant to open space, and I think you said you were going to look at it, that's another story. But I think you got to look at where the funds are going and where they're coming back to us in the village.
First off, I couldn't agree with you anymore, because it's been a discussion since I've been on this board about what the money's going in and where it goes. And they've gotten, I think, a little more flexible over the past years. The discretion always falls on the town and the supervisor, and you're aware of that. So we can wish what we want where the money goes. We can request as much as we want. Ultimately, the town and the supervisor and that board decides where it goes.
Thank you.
If I can just give you a little more insight on this. So first of all, the reason I believe this is on the town's radar is that you have a willing seller. And that's the number one factor. You have a number one factor in all the CPF purchases. You have to have a willing seller. So they approached the town.
Okay.
The owner approached the town. And the town is in turn saying, as we've asked them to do, is to ask for your input on any acquisitions they do consider.
The number? I mean, this doesn't give any...
They have not. What they would do is, if they were going to pursue this, they would then undertake and do appraisals. But right now, they're not sure that this fits the purposes of community preservation. Is it fitting some goal of the villages for community preservation, whether that be open space, park, recreation, or is it also stormwater control, or is there another public purpose that it even could be considered affordable housing, which has also been on your radar? This property is located in the office district zone. Probably the other factor here is it's remained in its natural state. It's wooded. And so that gives it some consideration as open space, but again, I think you all recognize that you need to go back and take a look at this and see if there's any priorities at all that would warrant the village's consideration. I mean, certainly stormwater control has been an issue, and finding appropriate locations for that, and this is certainly in that Windmill Lane corridor. So
I recommend that we, first of all, for the benefit of the new mayor and the two new trustees, that they understand what existing list was put in place nearly 2 years ago with the help of Joe McLaughlin and the Planning Commission, revisit the criteria, many of which that the counselor just mentioned, and make sure that we, with the public, identify whether or not it meets our criteria. I know it did not hit our list initially, but we need to give it a shake, so to speak. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Trustee Allen. Not sure if there's any other comments from the board or comments from the public regarding this communication. Amy? Okay. No, that's what we like having this.
Amy Plum, 131 Bailey Road. I'm a neighbor of the affordable housing. I have spoken to Jesse. I spoke to you this weekend about the issues with the affordable housing on Bailey Road, which is a private road maintained by the residents, not by the village. I ask of you to please maybe take that on. I've had to, unfortunately, send threatening emails to Curtis and Mark Epley to try to get them to fix the damage that was done to the road because of the construction and adding in public water and public gas. So when I hear that you guys want to maybe possibly buy this piece of land for affordable housing, I think I'll talk about it more privately with you, but I would say that the list of requirements for people who are going to qualify for it need to be enforced. They're not being enforced. They have not been enforced. And it's become a problem. This affordable housing thing is a great idea, but not if it's going to people who don't deserve it, okay? So, and I would happily sit on a board for the affordable housing thing. I used to underwrite mortgages for years for affordable housing. I'm very, very, very familiar with the rules and regulations and the laws. And, I'm here for you. I'm a resident. I'd love to help. But don't just think it's going to go swimmingly, because it has not. It's a serious problem.
Thank you, Amy. Is there any other public comment? Okay. There's not. We will move to our discussion items. The first one is Boy Scouts, the request during Southampton Fest.
Trustee Yastrzemski.
Yeah. Well, we've done it in the past, but since that was a troop that my son just finished with before going to college, every year during this Southampton Fest, they participate. They set up their tents in their area and booth, and they help with the chili contest cook-off. So they're part of the festivities. And part of what they do is they sleep overnight. They tent and they do the whole experience, showing the public what they do. So we just, as a formality, well, not a formality, but we approve them to do that. And that's what this is. They want to repeat that this year and ask the board's approval to let them camp out on either and or Friday, Saturday evening, the weekend of Southampton Fest.
Thank you, Trustee Yastrzemski.
And where they do it is typically we put them in the corner out of the way by the monument. So they're not in the middle of anything.
Okay.
So with that, I on their behalf, I request that we allow the Boy Scouts to, in addition to them setting up their tent and so forth, that they allow us camp overnight for Friday and Saturday night.
You wish to make that a motion?
I do.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And since they're the Boy Scouts, I'm certain that we'll be able to get there's a national recognized. They'll have the insurance and permission forms and all that.
Correct.
In place. As well.
Correct. Yes.
Yes. Okay. The second item is a request from Sally Van Erck of the Corcoran Group. And it reads, Lily Panos, 8 years old, daughter of Corcoran's CMO, is interested in running a lemonade stand in front of our Southampton office at 88 Main Street. Lily would like to donate the proceeds from the stand to the Southampton Library's coffee shop. Lily has already donated funds to the library. She's an old soul and interested in giving to the community. They live at 437 Hill Street in Southampton. The stand would be on Saturday, the 24th. And it would operate from 11 a.m. until 1 or 2 p.m. And Corcoran I think certain has a setback foyer, so it wouldn't be out on the sidewalk.
Right-of-way.
It would be in their foyer
And not in public right-of-way.
and not in the public right of way.
Because we had an issue with somebody stumbling on those signs, and
They had too much lemonade. They had too much lemonade.
Yes. And any questions, I would entertain a motion to allow 8-year-old Lily Panos to have a lemonade stand at 88 Main Street this Saturday between 11 and 2 p.m.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I have a third discussion item. Actually, Trustee Pilaro does. I'll call it Traffic Data Collection Proposal for Hill Street, Hampton, Pine, and Cameron. I do think it was added to your...
added in the back.
In the back of the discussion. And I'll let, I guess...
Which version?
Trustee Parrish and I met with Gary and with VHB the other day to speak about kind of gathering some data on traffic for coming out onto Hampton Road from Pine and the parking lot that is back behind Citarella and Sip and Soda and those businesses there, La Parme. And there seems to be multiple ways of incoming, only a few exiting. And so we would love to work with VHB to try and gain some data points that we can use to make a better study. This also should hopefully relieve some of the traffic on Cameron Street and could lead into a bigger discussion. And as we had said, we wanted to study kind of the traffic pattern from Meeting House to Hampton with regard to Pine Street. So the reason that we put it on for today, we'd love to pass a resolution so that they can study before summer ends, before Labor Day. We'd get some data collections from them. And the same, then we would probably do another data collection point when school is in session so we could see how that traffic pattern is used as well by parents and by buses and everything. So that's why it's on today. The other one then is for Hill Street and looking at the possibility of adding pedestrian crosswalks on Hill Street to make that safer for people crossing over. Mostly in front of the Shabbat as well as the church, and doing that on a Saturday and Sunday, but it would incorporate, Hill Street in general. So that is why I bring forth this resolution to us tonight.
We have a proposal from VHB for miscellaneous traffic counts observed and video on Hampton, Pine, Cameron, and Hill, and the price is $7,000. The proposal is $7,980
for all streets.
That's the proposal.
And that would commence and for how long?
It would commence. It would collect on a couple of days prior to Labor Day and a couple days after Labor Day, and then it would also include the Saturday and Sunday on Hill Street.
And also take into account some school days once
school is back in session.
Good.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
I think it's excellent. Come on down.
Yes. Well, she's...
Cameron Street. I just was going to say, be sure you do it on a Friday and Saturday at Pine and all that area behind Citarella. And then the other thought was the traffic study. I'd be very helpful. I'd be very happy to help.
Great.
Monitor, no.
Well, they have people. The engineers have people that sit there and click and whatever. But I know we thought about doing it ourselves, and then we said it's better to have someone professional to do it.
No, of course.
Exactly.
But okay.
This will be a summer weekend.
It'll be a summer weekend before Labor Day. That's why it's on
Should
tonight.
be Friday for sure.
Well,
Friday and Saturday.
we'll look and see, but it's going to be. I mean, the reason that it's on tonight is so that we can do it before Labor Day is over. So we only have so many days before that. And yes, if we could do it on a Friday and Saturday, then that would be great.
And then the parking lots are a separate issue?
No, this is the parking lot. This is the parking lot doing exiting and entering, but it also is going to incorporate a greater.
Okay, so it include Wall Street? parking lot?
It does not include the Wall Street parking lot.
Okay, just because it's very hemmed in.
The Wall Street, we have a proposal out, I think, with
But I
regards to
think,
the Wall Street
wall
ends.
going into Walnut,
Well,
which
just so
feeding
everybody-
into
it all
Pine will be part of
flows,
that.
good idea. Okay.
So it will be, to answer your question, part of that will be part of that study, because it's feeding into Pine, and that's what they're studying.
Yeah.
It's either feast or
Okay,
famine
so
with you.
just
you know?
a heads up, I'm not sure that you were living here yet. This is Amy Plum, 131 Bailey Road. I'm not sure that you were living here yet, but this was, I moved back here 11 years ago. There was a whole renovation project, Mark, remember the back parking lot? That was it was a Safe to Schools initiative done by Tim Bishop, and it was federally funded. And so before you approve the $7,000 to spend on this study.
We've looked into it.
Okay, all right, I just was like, before you do that, like, because I remember when Cider sold wine at their store, that the Safe to Schools initiative renovation of the parking lot.
What the hell was that? Somebody else
was, basically.
It didn't allow it because
rejected
their
their proposal because of that. So I was like, I wasn't sure. Okay, great.
Well, that was because of the
Just wanted to make sure you
alcohol
knew
thing. But no, that was been brought up. I brought that up because I wasn't
Yeah, because
around.
that was like,
So,
that was good news for Herbert and Rist, but I just would hate to see you guys go to all the trouble and spend the money, and then that comes up as an issue.
No, we're trying to alleviate the traffic issues, if we can.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, they're telling you that they want you to go, so you don't, and that way you don't have to give any more public comments.
I don't know. It's feast or famine. We haven't seen you in 11 years, actually. I remember you, and I guess you've been busy, but I see that,
All right, so next steps here.
We could make a motion to authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with VHB not to exceed $8,000 for a traffic count observed in video on Hampton Streets, Pine, Cameron, and Hill.
Good question, though. He said not to exceed 8,000, but it says the fee does not include coordination with the school. So will that get us over the 8,000 mark?
That would be additional. We just wanted to get the data points collected, and then we would move to look at the study and the process and all of that at a later stage.
Okay. So with that said, so move.
Make a motion.
So moved by Polaro, second by Mayor. Polaro, move them. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Should we move to second public comment, or should we do comments from us?
Second public comment probably is good, because
Okay,
then...
let's do that. All right, second public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board should approach the podium. We have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address. Okay.
You're done?
We're done. No public comment, it looks like, unless we have more. Okay, thank you, Amy. All right. With that said, we'll move to comments from board members. And we'll start with Trustee Yastrzemski.
Thank you. Well, again, I just want to thank everybody who turned out tonight to support the whole surfing situation and legislation that we passed. Somebody brought up a good point earlier that, what happened Saturday was an anomaly. It was the perfect storm. It was a lot of things converged at one time. And I do credit this board with acting very swiftly. Because one thing I've discovered over the last couple of days, this is not a new issue. A lot of people think it is, or there was a law that just got discovered. It's been an issue. We have a beautiful resource here, and there's always a conflict of how that gets used. You point out a couple of that as well. So 40 years ago, 50 years, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 8 years ago, 2 administrations ago, we did, the issue that came up was the surf schools. We passed legislation to try to regulate that. Legitimize, I think, is the word used now. That helped a little bit. We knew it wasn't going to solve it, but it was a direction to go. The last administration tried to take a time out on that. That was what the mayor wanted to do. This current administration enacted what we did tonight. The point I'm making is that this is an issue that is not unique or new. Different boards over the decades have found different ways to address this. So I'm in favor of what we've done tonight. But it's not an issue that, in my opinion, will ever go away. It's how we address it. And again, I applaud, because in the past, the swiftness and the involvement from every member, literally every member on this board, I can tell you in past situations wasn't as widespread as this. Everybody got involved with the phone, with presenting personally. So the board really acted quickly on this. Secondly, I'm glad you mentioned, Mayor and Mark, the unfair treatment of the police, because again, that's usually, that's always a sore point to me whenever any department in this village that represents our community, DPW, anything, does their job and really just does their job and they get maligned. In this scenario was the police department, they were unfairly maligned for doing their job. So I'm glad you recognized that that's what they were doing. And lastly, two people I think that are really deserve a lot of credit for getting to where we did tonight were the two wingmen over here, Russell Prouderville and our attorney, Wayne Bruin. Within an extremely short amount of time, they were given their marching orders to organize all this legislation you all just witnessed tonight. So a lot of this would not have happened without these two gentlemen. So I want to thank you and commend you guys for actually getting us to this point that this public is so happy about. And know that going forward, the second, I think, more important step is the public hearing process. And I foresee, just like I did 8 years ago, and you were here, I will see, and you were here, well, I see a full room, 50-50. So I do think we are just beginning on this, quite honestly, but it's a good first step, and I commend everybody's involvement. That's all I got.
Thank you, Rich. That was excellent. Appreciate it. And Trustee Allen.
So I echoed what Rich said, well said, and I wanted to let the public know that we're very accessible. You can reach us at Village Hall. We all have emails. We check them 24/7. I wanted to thank the many people that reached out to me when our plane touched down this weekend to come back. I didn't expect it to be the volume of people that reached out to me, but I'm glad they did. I thought the mayor did a good job helping pull people together yesterday on very short notice. I see Miles out there. Within 4 or 5 hours, we had a group here to try and think through things. Our counselor came in at the last minute. I know you worked stuff through, Mark and Jesse, till the late night and early this morning. So we're here. We're very accessible. We don't bite. You can call us anytime. And we're here for you. We work for you. So that's what I wanted to say. And I wanted to give a special shout out. I think the enthusiasm is great. And also a shout out again to Trustee Polaro and Parrish, because I went away for a week and I was very concerned about us not moving on the traffic quick enough. And I come back and they've moved. Yay! Thank you.
Getting tired of stuff like that.
Yeah. So the only other new thing, we did get the new speed light on Moses Lane. So thanks, Gary, and I hope the residents on Moses who have come to us, for the past spring, and we're very concerned, see a change there. We have some pictures, and apparently people are not barreling down that street at 50 miles an hour. So let's hope that. Last point I want to make is we are beginning to restudy our accessory code. Talk about codes that have been on the books a long time that nobody either understands or knows about, but it allows you to convert an accessory building or create an accessory apartment in your home as long as it meets code. But it's a very complicated code. We reviewed it the other day. It's 5-6 pages long. We've now compared it against town and other areas. The counselor is going to continue working with us, along with Chris Talbot in the building department, and hopefully Trustee Polaro, so that we can get this on the books, make it easier, make more affordable workforce housing year-round for people that want to be part of our community. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Trustee Parrish.
Thank you for everybody coming out again, and this was the first weekend of chaos for me in terms of something was going down, all of a sudden it was like bam. But within that, a lot of cool heads came and rose up. Chief, thank you for communicating with me at a time where it was very important to get some clarification and working with the board. Wayne, Russell, your direction and guidance was invaluable. And to Trustee Polaro, Mayor Warren, Trustee Alan and Trustees Yashemski, all the communication of the weekends brought us to here. We got something done that we knew was the best for our village. And that's what we're really focused on. We want to do what's right for our village so people can enjoy the village. And I'm very proud that we got one step started, and we got a lot more to go, and it's going to be an interesting and fun ride. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Very well said. Trustee Polaro.
Don't want to beat a dead horse, but I will thank everyone for coming. Thank everyone for the work they did over the weekend with regard to the surfing miscommunication. And glad that we are here where we are. And yes, we will be moving forward on it. So looking forward to working with the public again on that. As I said, we're looking into the parking and Cameron Street and Pine Street. So that is on the books to hopefully move forward. We'll keep everyone updated on that. And it's always good to see so many faces and friendly faces in the audience.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Polaro. And I actually don't think it is overly repetitive to thank everybody, including the police, Chief Cummings, Russell, Wayne, our entire board. This was really an incredible showing. We did move quickly. We addressed the needs of our community. And so I just wanted to thank everybody. I don't think we can be thanked, or you can be thanked enough because a lot of good stuff was done. And what I think is actually the case is this is the last meeting we'll have before Labor Day. And so this summer, since inauguration on July 1st, for the three of us here and obviously for our entire board, has moved so quickly. But I could not be happier and more proud about all of the work that we've quickly accomplished. Things that have been done, resolutions passed tonight and prior, and this is just the start of things to come. It's very exciting to work with the team here. It is really an amazing opportunity to be able to work for the village and be able to pass resolutions and laws and get things moving. And I spoke earlier about getting some old laws off the books, and we want to put some new updated ones on the books, and I know it's been asked for a while. So just a couple other quick things. We went to Ellen's Run this past weekend. That was very successful, raised a lot of money for breast cancer research. Also very excited about the committees that we put forth today, and we will continue to add and start to add names to those. And again, great job on the study that we've put forward. The gentleman said they were going to do it, and they did it, just like that. So that's exactly what we want to see happen. We have some updates on Lake Agawam. We've reached out to various members and homeowners who live on the lake, and we've been working with them to do some fundraising for the Conservancy. And in a matter of really a week, we've been able to raise upwards of $300,000. There has been an executive director. That's been a position that's been created. Dr. Gobler has agreed to join the Conservancy, so we've made some great progress on that alone, and we're still taking donations there. So, and then also wanted to thank, again, Trustee Yashemski for organizing Boy Scouts, and again, just thank this entire board for doing such a good job. So, with that said, I'm good for comments here, and we can move forward with suggested resolutions.
Okay. Entertain a motion to resolve that the reading of the minutes for the public session of August 8th, 2019 be dispensed with, and that those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator, and that the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the claims for the warrants dated August 20th, 2019, totaling $719,223.76, warrant number 6 of the General Fund, $166,192.77, warrant number 3 of the Capital Reserve Fund, and the village payroll through August 15, 2019 be audited and approved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Invoices over 1,000. General Fund. Absolute Shine Auto Spa, that's $2,800. The check that was written last month was voided, and this is a reissue of the check. Atlantic Coast Embroidery, $2,792.72. That's 100 T-shirts with embroidery for the ambulance and T-shirts with embroidery for the fire department. Bartlett Tree Experts, $1,714. That's root flare injection treatment for trees on Windmill Lane and Pine Street. Business card services, $1,625.17. That's annual subscription for computer software for Central Garage. Design Audio Visual Inc., $51,238. That's the second half payment of the SCC Theater audio visual system that we have a DASNY grant for, so it's reimbursed, will be reimbursed. Fluid Imagery Inc., $4,412. That's a yearly subscription and monthly service charges for village software. Fowler's Garden Center, $1,197.49. Monthly Parks Department supplies and materials. Fundamental Business Services, $3,309. Collection service fees for the Justice Court. Granger, $2,944.11. Multi-gas detector with charger for the ambulance and various supplies and maintenance for all departments. Mayday Communications, $4,690. Annual maintenance agreement for PD voice recorder. Messiano Consulting, $5,400. Grant writing and consulting services for multiple New York State grants and monthly consulting. Norsec & Sons, $1,434. Solid waste removal. New York State Employees Health Insurance, $368,463.55. That's a September premium. New York State Municipal's Workers' Compensation Alliance, $216,878. That's our quarterly premium. Office of the State Comptroller, $13,917.45. That's the state portion of court fines. Optimum, $1,483.55. Internet services for all village departments. ProCop Joseph, $1,200. That's legal services for the 2019 election. Rapid Recovery Towing Services, $2,650. Towing services for impounds. Shoreline Towing, $1,700. Towing fees for impounds. Sprink Tech Irrigation, $4,050. Irrigation system for the St. Andrews Firehouse. Suburban Auto Service, $4,024.25. Repairs to a vehicle that was in a motor vehicle accident, and there will be insurance reimbursement. Vincent Toomey, $1,681.10. Outside Labor Council for the month of July. WB Mason Incorporated, $2,171.53. Paper, stationery, office supplies for multiple departments. Weber and Gran, $1,287. That's a quarterly installment for the installment payment for boiler service at the 4 firehouses. Capital disbursements. Aris Design, $8,500. That's ambulance costs. National Auto Fleet, $38,824.02. That's the invoice for the 2019 Tahoe that was authorized by the village board at the March 15th meeting for the ambulance. Rollins Electric, $118,868.75. That's ambulance barn project, electric for the month of, the services provided for the month of July. If there are any questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby ratifies the retroactive hourly rate for lifeguards Carolyn Oakland and Margaret Purcell at a rate of $15.50 per hour for the 2019 season.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby ratifies the hiring of Daniel Alixau as a lifeguard at Cooper's Beach effective August 19, 2019, at an hourly rate of $13.50.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby ratifies the hiring of Yassine Bukasi as a student intern in the Building Safety Department effective August 19th, 2019, at an hourly rate of $12.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I just want to make mention to the board that this is the young gentleman that came to us through the Broader Horizons program of the town. That program ended last Friday. Yassine has done such an excellent job, and he was interested in spending the last 2+ weeks of his summer continuing the work here. So we basically transferred him over from a town employee to a village employee.
Great.
If any of you can go and meet him, I think you'll be pleasantly impressed. He's just a great kid. And everybody in the building department is thrilled to have him. So good job on your part, Russell, for introducing us to this program where the town provides interns to us. So perfect.
I'll also add that part of the reason that these packets were together today at 2 o'clock as opposed to seeing me at 5:45 running around like a crazy man was Yusim. So he was part of the meeting as well.
Yeah, he's a hard worker, and everyone seems to really like him up in the...
So, all in favor?
Aye. And by the way, Russell, we do have our Employee of the Month for next month, but I think maybe he should be an honorary Employee of the Month, if that's possible.
I think that's a great idea.
Because I think he deserves it. So, okay, we'll make a motion to adjourn.
Could I just add, I'm sorry, one thing I forgot to say in my comments. No, it's very, not pertaining to this. I'd be remiss. This past weekend, I did send my son Cole off to college, Binghamton, so I want to mention that because obviously the grandparents will be watching. So we always do announce nice things that happen, and amidst all the chaos we'll go through, the good things that, yes.
And the great fire department chicken and rib barbecue which
on
you missed.
Missed, but I was on Saturday.
That was very good.
Saturday at the next door. So good job to the fire department for the fundraising, and congratulations to my son Cole. Best of luck. That's all I had. Sorry.
You've got great kids, Rich. We all know that.
Thank you.
Thank you for adding. Okay, time to make the motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing legal and personnel matters involving village employees.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.